Hi everyone, I have been meaning to record a reading vlog for some time now, but I keep procrastinating on starting a book, so I'm just kind of hoping that if I start recording myself, I will eventually pick up this book and start reading. The thing is that I'm excited for these books, so I don't even know why I'm procrastinating on that, to be honest. The first book I want to read is Parasite by Mira Grant. Last year I read Into the Drowning Deep and Middle Game, which was by the same author, and I really enjoyed those, especially Into the Drowning Deep. That one was one of my top books of 2021, and so I picked up this book because it seemed interesting and I liked the author already, so I'm anticipating to like this book as well. Yeah, and I don't know why I am procrastinating on this. And the other book I'm going to read, if this book doesn't work out, is Jade Legacy. And the series is one of my favorites, so I don't know why I am not reading these books. If you look at my planner for the past few days, it's literally like, start fucking reading, bro. And I just don't do it. So Parasite takes place in the future where we no longer have sicknesses and diseases because scientists have invented like this tapeworm that absorbs the sicknesses for us. I guess the tapeworms are living in our bodies constantly, and you know, stuff happens. I don't know what the stuff is, and that doesn't seem like a symbiotic relationship, so I'm sure there are a lot of complications from the parasite side. They'll probably want some independence. Oh my god, this is like Venom, but wrong. Wait, hold on. Stop. Literally Venom. Because if you've watched or read Venom, if the host and the symbiote do not get along, then the host starts to die. And the little synopsis here is saying that the parasites want their own life. The relationship with the host and the parasite is non-existent. Yo, you just gotta communicate with your parasite and be friends because y'all share a body together, share life together. Wow, I can't believe I just I've solved the problem of this book. No! I'm gonna die! So I read a little over 100 pages of Parasite today. This is my progress. I don't know how I feel about the book right now. I'm still kind of indifferent towards it, and I'm not really sure whether or not I want to DNF it or keep going. I think I might read another 50 to 100 pages before making that decision. I just want to be better and more honest with myself when I'm not enjoying a book, because too often have I forced myself to finish a TV show or a book or a movie, and by the time I'm finished, I'm really sad and disappointed and I feel like I've wasted my time, and I'd rather not do that. I don't want to put myself through that. I think so far Parasite has been interesting. I really enjoy the concept of it. Some of the side characters have really grown on me. The main character though, I'm kind of just, I don't know, I'm not that drawn to her. If I just like stopped reading this book right now, I wouldn't be devastated by the fact that I will never know what happens at the end of the book. I'm not emotionally invested in the book as much as I would like to be. That is enough reason for me to stop reading the book, but I also want to push through a little bit longer to see whether or not I will like it. I read 50 more pages and I can confirm that I am still not interested despite being 208 pages into the book. It's just not clicking with me, which is really unfortunate. The circumstances of the main character, her waking up from a coma and not remembering anything from before the coma, is really interesting, and how she has to navigate her life and how people sort of treat her like a child and not an adult with, you know, independence. I really like the exploration of the main character and how she has to navigate her life through therapy and building her relationships with the people from her previous life and the new people in her life. I like her dynamic with her partner Nathan, who works at the hospital in parasitology. The big event, the big like reveal that, you know, stuff is happening. I don't know. There's like little passages from a book and interviews to add on to the world building and give context for people involved with the parasites who aren't necessarily characters of the book. It really adds on to fleshing out the history of the science and the history of the parasites and the state of a world that demands the use of tapeworms living inside of our bodies to benefit our immune systems. I haven't been enjoying those 6-7 hours that I've spent with this book, so I don't think I will be continuing it. Cold tones, warm tones. While I was going through my stack of library books, I realized that I had another book that I have yet to try. It is The Death of Jane Lawrence, and a horror artist that I really like posted on Twitter, tweeted a photo of their horror book stack, and this was one of the books, and so I wanted to give it a shot. This is Gothic? Oh no. I'm not very good with Gothic. Okay, so the main character decides to have a marriage of convenience, and she chooses to marry a reclusive doctor. And he agrees under the condition that she never visits his family manor. On their wedding night, she does visit the manor because of a rainstorm, and he has like changed. Not necessarily physically, but his mental state, his manners have changed. He becomes terrified and paranoid. In the morning, he acts as if nothing happened. I feel like I explained the blurb very poorly. The reviews from other authors, someone mentions it having the same theme as Crimson Peak, which is a gothic horror movie that I have seen and I like, and it's directed by Guillermo del Toro. A sublime gothic romance. Oh no, gothic romance. Oh man. Oh no. I don't know if this book is for me. Am I gonna try it? Yes. Yes, I will. Oh wait. Post-war England? Wait, which war? Is this like early 1900s, 1910s? Oh my god, like Downton Abbey. I'm only 16 pages in and I'm already like clicking with the main characters. I love this shit. I love this shit. She's like, oh yes, this is a marriage of convenience, but she's also like attracted to him. She's like, I can fix him. I can worm my way into his heart. Honey, I hope that you do. Father's a homo. There's not thrilled at all. Father homo. Do they carry? Will they carry? Who's the homo now? Bitch, I fucking knew it. Fucking lying motherfucker. This guy is sketchy as fuck. Ooh, motherfucker, you're caught now. Shit, he's making some fucking points. But also, he might be just manipulating her. Dude, it's happened too many times where I'm too trusting of manipulators. I believe in them, and I'm like, no. They're fine, because I'm in denial. Huh, maybe he isn't a bad guy. Again, I'm too trusting of these characters, man. They could be fucking lying to me right now, and I'm like, yeah, I trust you. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm literally in shambles. When they're singing something to believe in, and just like the love and adoration in his voice when he sings to her. And if I'm gone tomorrow, what was ours still will be. Like, bitch, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? If there are gods out there, give me a man who will sing like that to me. Shh. Don't look at me, Jeremy Jordan. Don't look at me. I would like this man to serenade me with his love. I am going to lose my shit. Jeremy Jordan, hi. So yesterday I reached a part in the book where I feel like things are about to start picking up because they had this like huge reveal. It is enjoyable. I like this kind of gothic horror. The main character being brought into like a decaying manor and slowly losing their sense of reality. They're being manipulated by a family member or romantic interest. That's pretty much all I've experienced with gothic horror, and I like that setup, that trope. But I don't know if the death of Jane Lawrence is bringing anything new to the genre, because it kind of feels like the standard for gothic romance. And even then, because I don't have that much experience with gothic romance, I don't know if it's executing it well. As someone not familiar with the genre, I'm just having a lot of fun, really. The main character, we're vibing. Honestly, no, I don't want to say it. No, if I say it, I'll be embarrassed, but I'll say it because I love embarrassing myself. The main character kind of feels like self-insert. Or maybe I am projecting myself onto her. I would love to be in a house scared out of my fucking mind. Would I hate it in the moment? Yes, of course. But the experience, the ambiance of being in a disgusting, rotting manor. The architecture, though. I don't even know what era of architecture she has, but I can imagine it in my head, and I am like, I love furniture. I wonder if she has any gilding. Anyway, so yeah, it's a bit like tropey, but that's like what Gothic horror is, right? She's very trusting, a little naive, but so am I, so it kind of works. Like, even if the main character was super doubtful of her husband, I am just so trusting. I am so trusting in these situations. That's why I love these kind of fucking books, because I always get shocked at the end, even though I know it's gonna happen. I like the pacing. It's enough to keep my interest in her discovering pieces of information and secrets on her own, and then trying to uncover the truth by engaging with different characters. And there's like conflicting pieces of information, and I'm really excited to like eventually get to the truth with the main character. It's really interesting because the setup of this book, there's a lot of like stereotypical conclusions to this kind of story. They kind of already revealed that. So it's kind of already expected for the author to have that stereotypical conclusion. So now the question is, will the author try to do something different that strays from that stereotype, or is the author going to give into that stereotype? I'm interested to see what the author decides to do. Yeah, so I read 85 pages today. I just have this much left. I don't know if I want to read anymore today. Kind of just want to like let it sit with me for a little bit. But it's very interesting because last night I was very doubtful about the execution of this book. I was like, this kind of feels like it's going down the path of being very poorly handled Gothic. So last night I read 3 chapters, and there was this info dump explanation regarding the supernatural occurrences. And recalling the lecture that I was given by my friend who really loves and studies Gothic, I understand Gothic to be about the sublime and disorientation and forcing people to question their reality and their beliefs. And so while I was reading that, I was a little confused and frustrated, because if you are introducing logic and explanations to your story, not even halfway through the book, if the main character is having that being explained to her, then I don't think that's Gothic anymore, because she's no longer questioning her reality and her sanity because you are introducing logic to the character. So that's how I felt where I left off last night, and where I am right now, my opinion has completely changed on the book. It still keeps that sense of Gothic disorientation, and like I am so enjoying like the progression of like the characters and just like the depth to them. I think that the main character and her husband have had very interesting conversations, and I love like the themes that the author is bringing out, which is supported by the author's writing style. There have been a lot of things that have been said by the main character when they are scared and trying to understand what's happening, and also in conversations with other people, there have been a lot of things that have been so eloquently written that I have saved them as quotes. The supernatural events, the ambiance, and the conversations and the emotional themes have so far been very enjoyable for me. I like the horror. That's not to say that is an absolute standout, but I like the ambiance of it. And the shit that's happening is stressing me out. yeah, I'm just having a really good time with it. My favorite part about this book is the dynamic between the husband and the wife, and just like the depth to their background, their character, their suffering, their morals, and like the consequences that these characters are facing, and like how that interweaves with the story, because a lot of like Gothic has to do with like emotions, trauma, grief, great themes in this book. So I finished the book last night. I will say that my immediate reaction after finishing the book was that I found the climax underwhelming and not well written. So I spent half of today thinking about this book and figuring out my thoughts on the book as a whole. In Gothic, when you do the dangerous marriage trope, the husband is typically hiding something, and when secrets get revealed, he is like this monster driven by grief that the wife now has to escape. And the audience feels sympathetic to his grief, but knows that he is too far gone for redemption. The death of Jane Lawrence doesn't quite follow the rules of the trope, which is great because I don't know what to expect, but at the same time, I can't tell if these changes have made the book stray too much from Gothic horror. In this era, it was very common for women to marry men that they didn't really know, but they had to stay with for survival. And that's true for Jane and Augustine, who originally decided to have a marriage of convenience. I like how organic their relationship is written, not just the romantic aspect, but how they work together as people. How they first feel about each other evolves to something more, but still has this barrier as strangers, who also don't know about the depth of the other's grief. And that relationship supports Jane's motivations throughout the book, on top of her being the kind of person who depends on math and logic. It might just be the Gothic romance that I've consumed, but I haven't seen a woman as strong-willed and driven as Jane. Regardless of how I feel about the writing and the writing of her character, the concept of Jane and what she does in this book stands out to me. Speaking of the writing, this story on paper goes fucking hard. Like, I fuck with this story. But the execution of the climax is where the book loses me. I loved the idea of it, but I wasn't very moved by the writing. Like, it's just very confusing, and by the time you reach the end, you will understand it, but it's that confusion that really sucks out the enjoyment for me. Let me preface this by saying that I have a very difficult time appreciating horror in prose. I love horror in film, illustration, TV shows, comics, manga, podcasts, but for some reason, horror in books just don't click with me. I think the horror is alright. It serves its purpose, pushing its characters onto the brink of madness, and there are some parts that do stand out to me, but I don't think that appreciation for it is going to linger. What's really interesting and kind of funny about this is that I like the pacing, and yesterday I was talking to my friend who is like #1 Gothic expert. When I brought up the pacing and that I liked it, they were like, that's the first red flag, because you, as someone who dislikes Gothic, hate the pacing of Gothic stories. That's a sign to me that this not really follows the Gothic genre. And then I also am confused about if the focus of the story is even Gothic. At some point it like goes in a certain direction and I'm like, I don't know if this is Gothic anymore, because it seems really focused on like this aspect of it and it's kind of going into another genre. Yeah, me liking Gothic is a red flag because I've never liked Gothic ever. Even Crimson Peak, which I do like, I have a lot of problems with, and I mostly like it for the set design and the costume design and not necessarily the story. So the highlights of this book for me are Jane and Augustine's relationship, particularly how their motivational drives stem from their grief and how that part of them clashes and collaborates in their relationship. The other thing that I like is Jane and just her as a character, Jane as a logical person, and how her view of the world and her desires propel her through the story. In general, no, I don't think I would recommend this book, especially if you're looking to get into Gothic horror, because I don't think that this is a good introduction to the genre. Also, Gothic horror doesn't terrify in the way that horror does in the current mainstream, which is like a reason why a lot of people don't like Gothic, especially Gothic romance, because it's very slow. So if like something that's fast-paced and will terrify you is what you're looking for, then you should pass on The Death of Jane Lawrence. If you are familiar with Gothic horror, then I am 500% going to convince you to read this, because I want your thoughts on like its strengths and weaknesses representing the genre, because I am still a Gothic noob, so I can't tell if this is good Gothic horror or not. I know that I said I was going to read Jade Legacy for this vlog, but then I was like, I don't know, it feels really disrespectful because this is like my favorite series. This is a highly anticipated book, and it's the last book of the series, and I'm like, damn, am I really not gonna give it the honor of having its own vlog? So I felt bad. I like guilt tripped myself. So I decided that I'm gonna end the video here with me finishing The Death of Jane Lawrence and make another separate vlog for Jade Legacy. What do I need to talk about again? Oh right, closing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog. I actually really like it. If you liked my content, I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It helps me out a lot as a small artist. As a friendly reminder, make sure you drink some water and stretch your body. I haven't stood up in like 4 hours, so I'm gonna do that right after recording. So I hope that this video was as fun for you as it was for me, and I will see you in the next video.